This is Gary Atencio with CNTV, and today we're in Alabama introducing Treasures in Testimony. I'm here with this author that has transformed his life and has dedicated himself to making a positive impact. I'm joined here with the author, speaker, Kelly Riggs. Thanks so much for joining us here today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
I'm going to start off a little bit about yourself. Your mission really has become the root of a widespread mentorship, training others how to do what you have done, really. Therefore, changing the financial health of others while caring for the homeless of our society. First of all, share with us, have you always had a passion for the less fortunate, what you say, even going back into your childhood?
I'd say I've had a passion for helping people with, one problem or the other, but nothing significant as this. I really got my focus when I had to walk a mile in their shoes, when I got to see what it's like to be homeless. And that changed my whole perspective.
This is when everything opened up for you just recently. Before we discuss your books, what was it like to grow up experiencing poverty as well as abuse? And how did those difficult experiences kind of shape the person that you are today?
Well, it really gave me an outlook on how people shouldn't be treated. I got a good idea of how I didn't want my children growing up. I got a good idea of how I didn't want my friends to feel about me. I'd say it had a very big impact.
Yeah, I would imagine so. Just growing up like that, you want to change the world a little bit and make it different. After a challenging time in high school, you joined the United States Army. How did the military service influence your life and your career path as well? How did that influence you?
I'd really say the Army gave me a lot of determination. They grew me as a leader. I got to learn to teach people rather than just be a part of the crowd. I learned how to stand out for the better.
Stand out for the better. We thank you for your service as well. The year of 2020, if we look back, it was a challenging time for most of us. You actually experienced homelessness during the COVID-19 pandemic. As horrible as that was, how did that period of your life lead you to a renewed sense of purpose and really maybe a return of your faith?
Well, first off, I got to see what it was like for those people that are out there by themselves. I used to have this opinion that if they just grabbed themselves up by the bootstraps and pulled real hard, they could make it out. And then I realized that it's just not that easy. And the other thing I realized is all of us out here living week to week, paycheck to paycheck, are not that far from homelessness ourselves. I learned that real fast.
Life can change on a dime. I don't care where you're at or what you're doing. Soon you can find yourself walking in somebody else's shoes like that, and that's exactly what you experienced. What inspired you to write about topics like financial security and overcoming worry from a faith-based perspective, would you say?
Well, these are all things that I've had to deal with, and I wish I had somebody to guide me through it. So as far as my faith goes, when I was touched with that passion, I realized I could be that person for somebody else, and they don't have to travel that rough road that I traveled.
So very nice. You probably wish somebody wrote the books you did back when you were going through it to help you through it as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, I sure do.
Your books are described as the lessons with Jesus. What do you hope readers, especially those who are less privileged, will learn from these stories?
I hope that they realize that the Word of God is just as relevant today as it was 2,000 years ago when it was being put together. When they put together the New Testament, and somewhere around 90 AD that they started doing this, it was relevant to the time and the conditions they were living in. And what we don't realize today is those lessons are just as real to us today as they were way back when. It's not just a book.
Those principles really stand the test of time. They can be used back in the day. They can be used today. Your book contains 12 steps that you say will really lead anyone who applies them to some financial security. Were these the same steps proven to work for you? And can you kind of touch on what the reader is going to learn in that book?
Yes, it's exactly what I lived through. And I did a lot of trial and error. when I first became homeless, I was suggested to go to a men's home where they had a lot of classes, and the classes were really scattered. But I picked out the ones that benefited me the most, and I documented them because I wanted to remember them in the event I needed them again. But things like knowing where I'm at, doing a self analysis of my resources. I mean, that's important. That's something we all should do. Even if we're not homeless, we need to be doing this in our house when we create a budget. You need to know what your assets are. You need to know what your expenses are. And you need to compare those two things to find out if you're living above your means. That's why people end up living paycheck to paycheck, because they're not paying attention to what's going out compared to what's coming in. But that's two of the lessons you're going to learn very early on in the book. You're going to learn how you everything I'm showing you actually parallels the principles of the Bible. God lays it all out in his book. But that's a thick book, and a lot of people aren't going to read the whole thing to get those tidbits. So I took this subject by subject, and I laid out the things that pertain to that problem. It's just like financial security. We can all have it. We just got to look for it. So I made it a little easier to find.
And that's a free book that's been out there for centuries, the Bible. People, like you say, don't bother to read through it and realize these are principles that can help us today. I mean, in the book, Finding Kingdom Purpose, you provide tools to help people find their kingdom purpose. Could you elaborate maybe on what that means and how you help people discover it?
Absolutely. I mean, it's in the book. The last chapter of Matthew talks. Jesus very specifically told his disciples to go out and teach all nations. That is a primary purpose every person should practice. Once you get into that and you're following that, then you're going to find a more specific purpose, which I talk about in that book. People sit in churches every day and say, God just not telling me what he wants me to do. And I say, yes, he is. It's in his book, and this is where you find it. Start here. Show him that you're serious here, and he'll give you more. The more you grow, the more he'll give you, and the more joy you'll feel.
Absolutely. I mean, basically, what we put out there comes back to us tenfold, and that's been proven time and time again. Kelly, your work is about providing hope, guidance, and practical solutions. What is the biggest lesson that you have learned from your own life experiences that you try to convey to others?
I can't do it without my faith. Without my faith in God, I can't do any of this. And I think that's the most important lesson. As a matter of fact, if you can read any one of my books, the very first chapter is going to cover that. You're going nowhere until you find that direction.
Within the first chapter, you're already putting that message out there that really faith is everything on this journey. You donate right now, basically, I think you said 50% of your book earnings to the United Reentry Foundation. What is the mission of this organization, and why is it so important to you?
That organization was all about helping people who are coming out of prisons, rehabs, homelessness, sometimes divorce. I've had divorcees come in, but we were setting up homes for these people to come to and get their life together. Sometimes people just need somewhere to go, take a break, sit down and look at what's happening so they can go move on. Now, this isn't their home. This is not what we're doing. This is where they learn.
Have much of what you experienced, some of what these people have experienced, have you gone through many of these things yourself? So is it easy for you to relate to them?
Yes. Yes, I've gone through every lesson that I write about.
Wow. So, I mean, you've been there, done that, and that helps people understand that if you can overcome it, they can too. Beyond your books, you also offer speaking engagements and mentorship. How do these in-person interactions complement your writing and further allow you to continue your mission of helping others?
Well, I think when somebody gets it one-on-one, somebody takes an interest in their life, they have something more to look forward to. I remember when the gentleman who found me got interested in my life, started showing me things that I was doing wrong or not paying attention to. It made a difference because it was personal. Somebody actually cared. So I'm trying to provide that same care to people who find themselves in the same position.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing if somebody just stops their day for a moment and learns about somebody else. I mean, that is such a big step. Kelly, your journey from a difficult past to becoming an American best-selling author, I mean, it's truly inspiring. What's the one message that you'd like to share with someone, maybe out there, who is currently facing significant challenges today?
If you want your life different, decide what you want, set your eyes on it, and do something to take that first step right now. Don't wait. Don't think about it. Head that direction. No matter how small a step you take, just take that first step. Make your life better.
How can folks out there become part of your journey, basically be part of your mission? How are they able to help you do this?
Well, one thing I'm doing right now at the mentorship program is I'm looking for 40 individuals who are interested in doing the same thing I've done for other people. And I'm going to train those 40 people to do the same thing. You know, one of my books that I'm writing now is about leadership. And one thing you realize when you look back at Jesus and the disciples, he picked out 12 disciples and he taught them. And they did a majority of the work. Yes, he had a ministry that lasted 3 years on this earth, but theirs is still here today.
Excellent. So people out there basically can get on board with you. Obviously, you're looking for people who you can train. You can also help just by donating, I would imagine, not only to your mission, but also to the organization that you're very close aligned with. So those are some great ways. I appreciate you telling your story to us today, and I think it's very inspiring. Viewers, let's take a look at the bottom of the screen. What you're going to see is his website. On the website, you can really learn more about his journey and find all of his books available on Amazon. With his passion for helping others through the transformative power of faith, grace, and really determination, he now shares the secret to his success with the world. Once again, that is Kelly Riggs, Treasures in Testimony. This is Gary Atencio with CNTV, and if you don't know, now you know.